On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will kick things off Han Solo again as he provides answers to the fans' AMA questions in a short review of Caught Stealing. After that, he and young Nick will reunite to break down Episode 5 of Alien Earth, complete with a Star Wars crossover segment featuring the Death Star and Xeno Outbreak. Of course, they'll end the show with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top High Star Wars Fan Honest Features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey now, everybody. Whoa, look at that. Better put my hat on. Shit's getting a little reflective down here with the yellow lights on. Ooh, that is not a good look. Hey, how we doing? Welcome back to the Solo Time Show, or at least Solo to start. Hopefully Nick comes back and he's actually watched Alien so we can talk about it together and not have me just spoil it. You know what I mean? I got the hat on, Kramer. Don't worry. We got Kramer in the live stream. I see Divided up there, too. Good to see you, my friends. You know how we do it these days. We're going to get into a little Alien Earth, but as always, this is the Star Wars Time Show, so there is going to be some Star Wars talk. In fact, we actually have real news to discuss. Lucasfilm put something out, concrete. We should be able to start getting excited for another movie. You know, Mando and Grogu, we know is coming next May 26th. It's been shot. They've been in post now for a few months, so that one should be ready to rock. But we also got confirmation on the 28th of August that Starfighter is also now in production, and we got some more of the cast fleshed out. So, yes, main segment is Alien focused, Alien Earth, Episode 5, in space, no one, ... But as always, we'll have a little crossover. Could Stormtroopers quell a Xeno outbreak on the Death Star? We've got the Starfighter news. We've got Ask Me Anything. We've got Top 5. We've got Question of the Week. We are loaded. All right. Hey there, League. I understand you're traveling or doing something, so it's good to hear you. Good to see you are present. You have been marked present on the roster. There you are, Divided. All right, people. So here we go. Let's see how things go here. We, if you're regular, you kind of know what's going on. If you're new here, we're in a bit of a transition period. Young Nick got a new job at SXSW, which requires him to work in office, which poo-poos on our typical live start time of 5:30 p. on Wednesdays. YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. So we're trying this new thing out where I kick things off by myself for a half hour, 45 minutes, and Nick comes in for the main segments and to close things out with the top 5 and Question of the Week responses. But we'll see how that goes. I can tell you at the end of last week's show, I don't think either one of us loved this new setup, this new schedule. Nick literally works all day, rolls out of his car, gets on the mic, and just zero time to relax, so I get why he's a little off. Myself, I don't really like sitting around all day until 7:30 to go live because I miss a night with my ladies here at home. And I like being a present father and husband. Isn't that amazing, ladies? So, who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you down the road, I think we're going to try this 7:30 setup on Wednesdays, at least getting through Alien. But I can tell you right now that it's probably not going to last. I'm not saying the show is just going scorched earth. We're going to light it on fire. No more SWTS live, but things are going to change. If Nick and I can't align on a schedule, either I'll just do the lives myself, or maybe, once or twice a month, him and I can do a pre-record and launch it, do an instant premiere, so we're kind of in the chat with everyone. But I can see the writing on the wall. I have a feeling the SWTS, as we've existed for 10 years, and about 5 years doing lives is sadly probably going to cease to exist here in a few more weeks. So we'll figure something out, but changes are coming. I don't want to lose young Nick, but if we can't get schedules lined up, it's not worth driving either one of ourselves nuts trying to loop ourselves into the other person's wants for a schedule. So we'll see what's going on. We got Kramer asking, what about Saturdays? Well, what about some time off for this old guy? So that's where I'm at on that. And that's why we're kind of at an impasse here. Being a dad, I like being around on the weekends. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday, just in case there's long weekends. I don't want to be committed to doing a show. So for me, really the only days I'd want to do this show are Tuesday and Wednesdays. It's just, it takes a lot of effort to get this thing set up. So I don't want to be doing setup over the weekend or on a Friday. Listen, it's a lot of nonsense. I mean, this is self-created work. It's not like this is my job, but it is what it is. I mean, if we were doing 10,000, 20,000 views an episode, yeah, I would do whatever it takes to make sure this show remains as is, but we're not. I mean, we're lucky to these days to get maybe 80 views at a live. So it just bear with us is all I'm saying. We're definitely going through some changes before 2025 is up. All right, but I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to scare anyone away. I'll probably still feel compelled to make videos for YouTube. And there's a good chance if Nick does have to kind of take some time off, I'll probably still do something because I have an obsession that's not healthy with YouTube and the Star Wars Time Show channel. You know what I mean? All right, let me fix this mic thing that keeps popping off here. All right, enough of that business stuff. Let's get into our first segment of the day. That's right, we always got Discord, Kramer. If anyone wants to join, we got an open link right here in this live stream video, so check that out. But yeah, SWTS is not dying. Divided, you're not wrong. I could probably bring in some guest hosts, but that's usually like, oh, but I do something on Wednesday. So it comes down to this. I can't have this little venture be any more of a nightmare and stress on my time than it already is, because I know a lot of you are like, well, man, if you love it, that's all that should matters. And yeah, I guess there's a little bit of that. But how many of you out there will do something over and over and over and over again with the same results? Nothing grows. It actually starts shrinking. Would you keep doing it for the love? Would you give up all your personal time when you could be doing other things like getting better at guitar, golf, sports betting, reading, you name it? So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm at. All right, here we go. A little Ask Me Anything. We do this every week after the opening bullshit segment, which we just got through. To get involved, you just got to be following us on socials. So look for the prompt on YouTube, in our post, the community, whatever the hell you want to call it, Instagram, and in Discord. Okay. We do have a few questions this week. Not many. We do have a few. So let me go ahead and get those screens pulled up, and I will start answering the fans. All right. The fans in the live stream now are throwing all sorts of options at me for keeping the live up and running. Yeah, divided. I mean, once a month could be an idea. It's just, I'm gonna have to talk to my therapist next Thursday. You know what I mean? Like I need to work through some shit in my head that's not making this decision any easier. Because in the end, like, I should be able to just walk away and that's okay. Or we should be able to go down to one live a month and that's okay. But the way my head operates, it's not okay. I would feel like I'm letting myself down. I'm letting you all down. I'm letting the no viewers we have down, right? You're starting to see the conundrum I face on a daily basis. Like, literally, we're nothing. We are absolutely nothing. I mean, Beyond the Dune Sea has absolutely trounced our following in just 2 years, and we've been doing this forever. So the writing's been on the wall a long time. I just like doing this because I like talking to Nick and obviously hanging out with all my internet buddies that have come along for this ride. So who knows? I don't want to keep talking about though, because it does sound kind of whiny and like, oh, woe is me. I don't get to do a hobby I used to do. It's like there's a lot more serious shit going on in the world than than this stupid ass little show here. So, all right. Well, hey, Divided, I appreciate the thoughts and opinions. It's definitely something we could talk about. I just know our chat last Wednesday night, once we hung up, it was like, Nick's like, dude, I can't fucking do this Wednesday shit. Maybe Monday, maybe Friday. I'm like, well, I can't do Monday or Friday. So we're like, okay, well, we're kind of at an impasse here. And I don't know what to do. So we'll see. We'll keep talking about it. But for now, you got me answering questions from the AMA. And lo and behold, the first one here coming from our buddy Divided in the live stream chat. Like I said, if you do want to get in the live stream, or at least as it exists right now, we are doing 7:30 Ps on Wednesday, EST, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, first question here we have in the AMA. How was your Labor Day weekend? Do anything fun? I'll tell you what, Divided, it was pretty damn great. Didn't travel anywhere, which is perfect. You don't really want to be traveling on Labor Day if you don't have to. It's one of those busy travel weekends. So we just kind of chilled. I Friday got up, went and played 18 holes with some work colleagues. We may or may not have had 5 drinks before 2 p.m. Got home, got the kid from the school bus, worked out to try to sweat off my early morning day drinking, and did a little guitar, and then played some cards with the neighbors to close out Friday night with, my nighttime treats. Saturday was fantastic. All right, it was the return of college football, at least for me. The Buckeyes were opening the season against the number 1 team in the Texas Longhorns, and everyone, the entire world was against Ohio State. They're going to have the championship hangover. They're not that good. They lost too many players. Texas is going to roll them. And I was nervous. It was a nice day. We had the neighbors come over. We're pretty close with our next door neighbors. They brought their little kids. I had my kid out there, the wife. We ordered really big ass great pizzas from Tony and Enzo's and watched that game and watched the Buckeyes win, which was awesome. We played some yard games outside. Then we went out for a Mexican dinner to close out the night with a little bit of euchre and some fungus fun, if you will, with my buddy. Just giggling my little ass off. Sunday, kind of kept it low key. It was nice just hanging out with the family. Did some virtual golf. Had my fantasy football draft. Played some games at night. And then Monday, another day drink all day with the neighbors. A little cornhole, a little croquet, and more cards to close out the night. So it was fun. It was a lot of just hanging out with people I like to hang out with, chilling with the family, eating more than I usually eat, drinking more than I usually drink, so can't complain. That is right, Divided. You, I'm not sure. I bet you can see my little friend on the water bottle here. Yeah. How about this sticker? You see that one, everyone? Show me your kitties. That's right. Show me your kitties. Big cat guy over here, by the way. I think that's come up. Ah, look who it is. It's the World Traveler has made the live stream. We've got Bango showing up after a tour of Europe. This dude definitely lives a solid life. Him and his young partner, his young wife, whatever you want to call her. So good to see you, Bango. Guten Tag to you as well. 999. All right, next question we have here in Ask Me Anything. All right, it's our boy Kramer. You know Kramer's always going to bring some football type of questions. That's right, Bango. Bango, are you and your wife, are you guys dinks? Dual income, no kids? I'm guessing if you can, because you two do at least 2 pretty intense international trips a year. So good for you all. All right, here's Kramer's question. Thoughts on Julian Saints' performance and final prediction for Steelers and Saints record this year. All right, so Kramer, I thought Julian did pretty fantastic. In fact, if it weren't for those 3 or 4 drops, his numbers probably would have looked even better. But as a first-time starter against the number 1 team in the country, no turnovers, all right? Had I forget his completion percentage, but it was up there even with all the drops. I did not love for my man Jeremiah Smith jawing on the sidelines about the first drive, about not getting a look. And then the next 2 or 3 passes thrown to him, he drops. That's not a good look there, Mr. Smith. So get that shit figured out. But for all things considered, what he was going up against, being a complete noob, I think Julian managed that game perfectly. and seeing the way the defense had played under Matt Patricia, I'm completely fine with Julian saying being a game manager type of quarterback. Damn, Bango in the live stream admitting that he has already cut his jizz supply. That is hardcore. How old are you, Bango? I mean, what are you, in your 30s, I'm guessing? I know you're not up in my old man years, but I guess guys can always reverse it. But hey, good for you. All right, and then follow up here, Kramer asking final predictions for Steelers and Saints. So I'm actually hoping the Steelers do poorly. All right, I've made it no secret around here that as much as I appreciate Mike Tomlin and this no losing shit, I don't care. Like, I'm from Pittsburgh. It's a city of champions, or it used to be at least, when they would pay their teams and actually make good moves. But this crap of only getting by, 500 seasons and then getting creamed in the playoffs, I'm over it. So I hope the Steelers go 8-9, 7-10. I would love like a 5-12. I mean, I just want that organization blown the fuck up. Enough's enough. I'm tired of the Tomlin era. It's over. I don't think he gets the most out of these players, contrary to what the talking heads in the national media say. I think he's washed and overrated. So I'm hoping for a losing record. And since Nick's not here, we'll say the Saints. They're gonna go 9-8. There you go. How's that? All right, next question here, and ask me anything. Coming from our boy Bango, Mr. Snippy Dippy. All right, Bango saying, does Alien Earth have you saying, fuck that, to space exploration? Because I'm pretty much there. Yeah, I would say most definitely for a corporation, a mega corporation, essentially a government-esque type of corporation, Weyland-Yutani. Yeah, no way. I mean, they willingly send these people on 65-year-plus missions to pick up deadly alien creatures that clearly Weyland-Yutani knows can F a human up. And if you sign up for that, you essentially, for that share, we heard about the shares again last night in episode 5, just like we used to hear in Alien on the Nostromo. But that share is not worth all the sacrifice that these space explorers have to give up to Weyland-Yutani. Because as we're kind of seeing throughout this series on FX, all the people like Morrow, I mean, they accepted the fact that when they joined the Maginot expedition, that was it for them on Earth. Pretty much all their loved ones would be dead or gone by the time they got back. They would lose 65 years of their life on Earth. And then you got to kind of compound that with the fact that you are expendable to Weyland-Yutani. You are literally worth less than cargo. Okay, we found that out in Alien when Ash was doing some shady shit and trying and working with Mother and making sure that, hey, the only thing that matters is the aliens, the species, the creatures. And we're seeing the same thing in Alien Earth. The disaster on the Maginot, again, Weyland-Yutani took the stance of, who cares if the crew dies? Just make sure we get our specimens. So, I would not want to be hanging out in space in the Alien Earth setting. It would be more fun with, light speed, wormholes, so you don't have to go into cryo sleep and all that type of stuff. But I think I'm pretty good on going to space these days, especially with the news that I think Space Command is moving to Alabama here in the States. So yeah, no thanks. Not gonna have that type of stuff controlling my fate when I'm in space, if you know what I mean. All right, last question here. Another one from Divided Skywalker. I think this was a question meant for me, although some other people answered it in our Discord. By the way, open Discord. Check the description of this live stream video. Divided's asking, what are some good audiobooks or podcast suggestions for long solo car drives? Well, Divided, I know you got some podcast suggestions in Discord. I don't know if anyone in the live stream right now can give you some suggestions on podcasts or anything else. But I really don't read, so I can't help you here. And the only podcast I listened to was the original podcast, the thing that spawned all podcasts, and that is Howard Stern. And he's apparently not coming back, getting fired, playing games with Sirius, so who knows. I will tell you, as odd as this is going to sound to some of you diehards, I have started reading some words and shit again. And it's like old words and shit. I'm actually reading Isaac Asimov's Foundation, finally. I've loved the TV series. Season 3's out now. I'm going through that. So I was like, you know what? I need to read the source material. So I am reading a book. And I honestly, if you're into like science fiction, Asimov is the dude. I mean, he is more or less the godfather of science fiction writing. The Foundation series, although it's much different than the TV series, is it's good. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like I said, it's a lot different than the TV series. That's the only exposure I've had. So I'm going like, what the hell? Like, this doesn't line up at all. I can see some of the nuggets that the writers of the TV series kind of pulled out. But I'm kind of digging back, going back and reading some of these old guys that kind of champion the science fiction genre way back in the day. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe maybe load up the Asimov Foundation novels. I also went ahead and picked up Dune. I've never fully read Dune, so I feel like a loser there. And check this out. I went nuts. We have like this killer bookstore in Columbus down on campus. Nah, not really campus. I guess German Village. But it's essentially an old house that's a bookstore. So there's something like 32 rooms in it, and you weave your way through the house. It's all congested. But when you're in there, you're like, yeah, this is a fucking bookstore, and I like books, right? Right? And sure as shit, I walked out of there with 3 books. So I don't know. Maybe I'm officially back on the words and shit train. You never know. All right. Yeah, Bango's saying there's no way they could have done a 1-for-1 adaptation. I'm seeing that now because book 1 is, I mean, each chapter is essentially covering large sections of the show or just taking some ideas that the show is kind of ran with. I'm guessing that the show is based more on the later books, but using some what's in the first book. So that's kind of why I'm going through and reading it, because I really do enjoy the show. It's one of those Apple TV shows that if you're not an Apple person, you might not even know about, but it's high quality, great cast, great writing, great cinematography. It's fantastic, as are most shows on Apple TV. They just lose something like $1 billion a year because no one outside the Apple ecosystem ever knows about this stuff because they don't advertise their shows and films. All right, Divided. I would recommend watching the series. It's pretty darn good, pretty darn interesting. It's got robots, it's got clones, it's got galactic empires, science as a religion. It's pretty far out. Bango saying, if you're willing to make the time investment, check out the Stormlight Archive. Each book is 1,000+ pages, but they're so good. Bango also following up on the Foundation discussion. The show came up with a few mechanics to keep the main characters around, which you really need for a show. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory, even though the show's been out for, I think, almost 4 or 5 years now, but I could definitely see that. I mean, the show changed some of the characters to female and kind of put them in different places, and so we'll see. I'll eventually get through the books, Bango. I'm just a slow reader because all this other dumb shit I do, like the show. So that kind of goes back to my initial discussion of what's the show going to turn into after Alien Earth. I don't know. Maybe I'll recoup some of my own personal time and not dedicate upwards of 20 hours a week to this YouTube channel that I can't blame anyone else but myself and the algorithm that we just don't get a lot of traffic. So sometimes it's like, what am I doing? I could be reading more books. I could be reading the Stormlight Archives. No, instead I sit down here and think of things to say into a mic for 10 people. All right. I think that wraps our question of the week. So we're going to go ahead and move back on over to the browser and get into a little pop culture talk here, if you know what I'm saying. Do not see young Nick in the room yet here, so hopefully he's still on schedule. All right, let's pop this up there. Bing, bang, go. All right, there we go. So, little pop culture talk. I skipped a movie 2 weeks ago, but watched one last week, a new release, a Darren Aronofsky film. I'm a big fan of Darren. I mean, some of his movies are just, to me, iconic. Requiem, standing out there. Black Swan's another good one. I think his first movie, Pi, is also super deep and makes you think. So this one he put out last week, I'd say, is one of his more unique films. It is just kind of like I don't know, it's like a crime drama. I mean, I guess you could say it's heisty a bit. You know, there's gangs, there's lots of crime being committed, robberies, there's a cat, there's a super sexy Zoe Kravitz. Austin Butler, who is someone that, listen, he's been on my radar. I mean, I know the guy's been in a lot of films, and he got a lot of accolades for portraying Elvis. I know he was in Dune Part 2. But I've never really been moved by the dude, you know. I thought it was kind of weird that he couldn't lose the Elvis accent for like a year after being in that role. So I kind of looked at him like a bit of a artsy fartsy goofball. But I'll tell you what, after watching Caught Stealing, this dude is a talent. Like Austin Butler, no joke, is good. Like he's good at what he does. He is a good actor. And I think all of his range comes out in Caught Stealing, which is essentially about a small town kid that kind of fucked up his future and ended up trying to get as far away from his small town as he could. And he ends up in New York City. And based on where he lives in some, you know, happenstance, he ends up getting mixed up in some wild shit that, you know, involves the Russian mob, the Jewish mob, corrupt law enforcement, and a goofy punk rock neighbor played by Matt Smith. So it's good stuff. Like I think the cast is great in it. I liked everything about this movie. I know some people kind of poo-pooed on it, but I mean it's loaded. It's got Austin Butler, Regina King, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, Benito Martinez, Ocasio, who I think was that Bad Bunny. So I give this one definite 2 thumbs up. Caught Stealing is a worthwhile film. Fun to check out in theaters if you still like going to theaters. But I was surprised by this one. This is one of those ones where you kind of look at the new release lineup on a Thursday at AMC or whatever theater you go to, and you're like, yeah, there could be worse things that I could be getting into tonight. So I recommend checking that one out. I'm not sure what's coming out this week, but if there's a good movie... Sorry, I'm starting to burp because I'm doing all the talking, so sucking in a lot of hot air. I'll check it out. I did want to go check out the Toxic Avenger Unrated with Dinklage in it, so maybe I'll do that if there's not a worthwhile film to check out. All right. Yeah, Divided saying Toxic's pretty short, I think. Okay. Well, usually, I mean, really for the past... feels like months and months and months, there hasn't been any Star Wars news worth covering. I mean, that's kind of what this show used to be. Every week, Nick and I would run through a series of Star Wars news items and give our commentary and insights. But really, since Star Wars has not died, but it's just really calmed down since, season 3 of The Mandalorian, it's just... there's really not much to talk about, but we did get some Star Wars news since we last chatted on the SWTS. First up, this isn't necessarily news, but we did get a few new screenshots from the Mandalorian Grogu movie, and I don't know, there's not much I can really run with here. I mean, this first one I think we've seen, or we at least seen blurry images from the sizzle reel shared at Celebration Japan. But as we've discussed on this show, Rhoda the Hutt is going to be a character, and he's going to cross paths with Din and Grogu. We're still not sure why. Is it Ellen Ripley of the New Republic sending them out on this mission? And yes, I say Ellen Ripley because Sigourney is playing the New Republic captain or commander that kind of is going to be Din's handler. But either way, Rhoda the Hutt is in this movie, and he appears to be some form of gladiator, as we can see from this screenshot of him kind of doing the "yeah, I won" pose in a very similar looking arena that we saw Thor and Hulk fight in Ragnarok. So I'm not sure how this plays into the story. Why is Jabba the Hutt's son doing this? Did he never want the family business? Was he exiled by other Hutts and now this is what he has to do? He definitely, for a Hutt, looks beefy. He doesn't have a big blobby gut like his dad. I mean, he looks like he's got a barrel chest or something. So it looks like he's also got a little bit of red paint on the back of his head. And that's really all you can see here. But I'm not going to lie, for a Hutt, this dude, Rhoda, is looking pretty swole. Like he is taking his creatine. Or possibly his Sustanon 250. Or Deca. Or D-Ball. Or Winnie. He is on some Hutt juice. And I'm not talking about that frog piss that his dad used to drink in the palace. So I'm kind of hoping... I'm almost hoping him and Din link up in I don't want to say and become best friends, but they're possibly allies, I don't know. What those of you listening out there, how do you want this interaction to go down? Do you want him and Din to kind of be antagonistic with each other? Or maybe at first they're a little sketchy, and once they realize that they have some common ground, they kind of buddy. I don't know. It'd be different. It'd be something different in a Star Wars movie, or just Star Wars in general, to have a Hutt character that isn't just kind of in the background like Jabba was. And as Divided's saying, if we're gonna see this jacked up Hutt, this beefcake, literal beefcake, let's have him do some stuff. I want to see what it's like to just have a Hutt cruising down the street or, going into a bar. What is that like? I mean, what do people do when a Hutt's crawling their way down the main drag, the main street here? So, I don't know. I mean, I have a feeling that Rhoda is probably going to be a one-off thing. And that's about it. So we'll see. Hey there, Skyrim Clips. Welcome to the show. Skyrim Clips is asking, favorite Jedi and Sith. How about this? Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Or is that cheating? If I have to go Jedi, I probably am. I really do like Anakin. Obi-Wan is a pretty damn good one. So is Qui-Gon. I use Qui-Gon's focus determines your reality all the time these days with my little kid. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go Anakin, Jedi, Sith. So I'm not just being a piece of shit. I'd probably pick Darth Maul. I love that dude. I'm glad that he was brought back, and I'm glad we're getting a series coming up next year. So there we go, Skyrim Clips. All right, flipping through some of these, Qui-Gon and Malgus. That's not a bad pick at all. I got my Malgus right here. See, he's my buddy. He sits at the desk with me. There you go, Skyrim Clips. There's your boy. I think we just, we did a kind of who could defeat Darth Vader type of cast many months ago. And I think some clips are going out where we talk about Malgus versus Vader and how that would go down. So make sure to check that out. YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Your focus determines your reality. All right. So next up on these new screens for Mando and Grogu, we've got the pair, and they seem to be at some sort of bar. It is looking like Grogu's new position is sans flying egg. pram, if you will, and it looks like he's chilling on Dad's back, almost like a miniature piggyback ride. He just kind of clings on there. I don't know if there's like a satchel he sits in, or if he's using the force to kind of magnet himself to Din's back or his shoulder. Think if you wear like a bag, not a backpack, but just like a bag, maybe a briefcase with a strap. So you got that. Grogu would be where the strap kind of comes down across your chest, but on the back. So he's just hanging out. Din's holding something. It's not a bounty hunter puck. It actually, to me, in this picture, it looks like a freaking piece of charcoal. I know that's probably not it. Maybe it's food for the little guy, but they're in a bar, and the bar seems empty. So there's not much I can really speculate on here. But here's another shot, and this looks like it could possibly be the same location. Kind of looking at the lights up in the sky. Maybe not. It's another. This one almost looks like a restaurant. But again, I guess the only thing we can kind of take here is Grogu just kind of riding shotgun on Din's back. So now that he's been promoted to, what is he? He's an apprentice now at the end of season 3. Full on Mandalorian training. Remember, he's Din Grogu now. But yeah, hey, we know at least these two are going to be kind of de facto New Republic Rangers, and they're going to be sent out on missions, probably by Sigourney Weaver's character, who is going to be a commander in the New Republic. Another shot here. I think we've seen this one before, or if you've never seen any sizzle reels, you've probably never seen it, but you've got some, what are these, Zalins, the little babu frickers, and Grogu is rocking it, and it looks like their ship. And it goes to show you just how tiny the Anzalins are, because even Grogu looks massive next to him. But the one thing of note in this shot that I'm just now seeing is he is wearing his Beskar chest plate that the armorer made him in season 3. It's been so long since I've seen these guys. I might go back and rewatch some of the Mandalorian. It's been a while. Probably should do that before May of 26. What does anyone else think? A little Mando rewatch. All right, we'll take a break here. Who is stronger in your opinion, Palpatine or Vitiate? Well, I wish Nick was here because he knows more about Vitiate, but from what I've been explained to, I'm gonna say Vitiate because I think Vitiate lasts longer. He was better at transferring his essence, and he didn't need some goofy ass, plot retcon to somehow he returned like Palpatine did. Star Wars Order, finally back to talking about Star Wars. Yeah, for a little bit. We're still going to do an Alien Earth breakdown today because Star Wars news is pretty dry, as we've been seeing. All right, I see young Nick is here, so let me go ahead and... Sorry, dude, I was yapping over there about some Mandalorian screens. Good to see you. Hopefully you weren't there too long.
All good. I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, we've got
All
visuals,
right.
we've got ears. I was just clearing up some little Star Wars news for the first time we had to present on the show. I was explaining
Look at that.
how new people, that kind of used to be our bag. We would only come here and talk about news and give our opinions and speculations, but that's kind of died out because there's nothing to talk about in Star Wars anymore except this week because we got some Mando screens, which I'm about done with here, young Nick, because this last one is just a production of the AT-AT tank or the AT-AT driver, looking great in his helmet, but that's about it. But Nick, the big news that came out last week, I don't know if you picked up on this, came out on the 28th, but it's official. Starfighter is currently in production. Okay,
I did see that. See that.
That means we're at least
screenshots.
We're at least going to be getting 2 movies by May of 2027. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So
nice. I mean, hopefully that happens. So we got Starfighter, we got Mandalorian and Grogu, and then we'll see where we go from there. I think that what's really interesting to me about Starfighter is it's essentially like what they said that they weren't going to do. They're like, we're not doing any more Star Wars stories. And then they're like, let's just do a spin-off thing.
Yeah, it's a standalone. I mean, right here, it's Star Wars Starfighter is an all-new standalone adventure. The film, which
Yeah,
has begun
so
production, is an entirely original story set in a period of time never before explored in Star Wars. So what does that mean,
nice.
Nick? I mean, they didn't Kathleen or someone said it was post the Rise of Skywalker. So if it's in a
Yeah.
never before time period experienced by fans, are we talking, Nick, is that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30, 50, 100?
I mean, technically, it could be 2 years after the Rise of Skywalker. We haven't explored that, but yeah, I mean, I don't see them jumping way too far in the future, but I can see them doing like a 5 year post like Rots or post Tross jump to give a little bit of space for any storytelling that might happen directly after Tross. Um, so that would kind of make sense to me, is if you did like 5 or 10 years later, there's like a period of peace. Hopefully, there's a period of peace
Yeah.
that lasts a little bit
It's the
after
Star Wars
Tross, and there's
galaxy, bro. You know something's going to get fucked up.
yeah. So if they're gonna jump right back into a different war or something like that, but you know, I could see it being like like a tent pole that they can use to build around in the post
All
Tross
right.
era.
Yeah, we'll see.
Um,
We'll
yeah,
see. I mean, Skyrim clips. We almost had that. If you remember, I don't know. Again, we're Star Wars time freaks. It's kind of our thing. But at some point in time, Skyrim clips is saying why they don't make some Old Republic stuff would be amazing. Yes,
yeah,
they were doing it. They were doing it. The Game of Thrones bros were doing it, and like a lot of creators or creatives around that time, it fizzled out and they were let go. So as of right now, and this is even before Old Republic time, the only way we're going to go back in the past is if they let James Mangold do Dawn of the Jedi. And considering there's been zero news around his film, Filoni's crossover, and the Rey movie, I would keep holding your breath on going back in time in Star Wars.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a in like, here's the thing, is like like we always talked about previously, is like when you're exploring that era of time, there's a lot of content that's already made that's technically not canon. So it's probably just going to piss a lot of people off if they make something in the Old Republic,
True.
especially if they regardless of whether they include Revan or not, right? Like Revan could be the main character and people would be pissed because they would say that he's not exactly like the Revan that I want him to be. But if they don't include Revan at all and they do like side characters or things that aren't directly related to him, then they're going to be like, well, why did you leave out the most important character in Old Republic history? So I I feel like any dive into the Old Republic is going to have to be done by somebody with a lot of respect, And I feel like Mangold is not necessarily that person. Like, he's a very good filmmaker. I thought that Logan was a strong movie, but to be honest with you, like I don't really know a lot of James Mangold's work outside of like Logan, and maybe there was something else he did recently, I
He did
think too.
Ford and
But
Ferrari, which is really good, and I think he did
yeah.
the new Indiana Jones. He did the
Yeah,
latest one.
and you saw how people reacted to that. So
Yeah, well, that's
I
because they
think that the
included a
best
strong female lead, and you can't do
yeah,
that, Nick.
I think that the best shot they would have if it was Taika, and I know that Taika's movie was supposed to be older, but
Where's
I
he
don't think
gone
it was
to
going to
though? Like
be
like
around there.
he's another one that he won his Oscar, and now he's too big for everyone's britches. Like he's just disappeared. I mean, he's either pissed people off or whatever movie he made didn't make enough money to keep getting bankrolled, so he's kind of
Oh, I
disappeared
think
as
that
well.
like he's doing a lot of like TV stuff. Like
Yeah.
he's doing a lot of like miniseries that he's either produced or
Mass
written. He's
Singer with
doing
his wife, he literally showed up on
yeah.
that. Like that's a problem. If you're Taika, I can see your wife being on that show. You should not be on that show, pal. Okay, like
Dude, this guy, like I see Taika and I can understand that he's just like, you know what? I just won an Oscar. I've made things that have been very, very well loved, and like essentially saved Thor in the MCU when he came in and did that. Like He's done a lot
that's
of
right.
really
That's what
good
killed
stuff.
him. It was Thor 5. That's right. I forget now. That's what
Oh,
took him out of like the
Blood and-
blockbuster scene. Yeah.
Yeah, Blood and Thunder. But right now he's listed as with 4 upcoming
Okay.
things that he's working on. It's Flash Gordon, so he's the writer of a new Flash
Oh
Gordon
boy.
film,
Flash.
which
Savior of the universe. Do, do, do,
yeah,
do, do, do.
could
The
be
Queen
cool.
song
Could be
is a
cool.
killer, man. All right.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, it's
So
weird.
we'll
It's
see.
just we had all those announcements and they all disappeared, and now the only 2 concrete things were 2 things that were not announced at Star Wars Celebration. So who knows? Who cares? But I think it's safe to say now for sure Mando and Grogu May 26 and Star Wars Starfighter May 27. And just to confirm, we now have not only Ryan Gosling but Flynn Gray, who seems to be a young actor. That's who you can see in the picture with him. But we've got Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jameel Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams. So a pretty star-studded cast for a Star Wars film, which you typically
definitely
don't get. So I don't know. I'm excited for this one too, young Nick. So, well, sorry there, Star Wars. Who was that? Star Wars Jedi Order or Star Wars Order? The Star Wars talk is about to take a break. Because it's time for some Xenomorphs, which apparently everyone knew about way before David even created Xenomorphs, according to Alien Earth, which is, at this point, I can say has officially retconned anything from Ridley Scott's prequels, if not Ridley Scott's main films. A lot of shit is now being retconned as well. Or we could say, Nick, we're just getting a little more insights into how much Weyland-Yutani actually knew about the Xenomorphs that technically were only invented like 10 years prior to this show. I digress.
Yeah, it was very interesting to watch that episode. I mean, I do like that it was kind of an explanation of what happened aboard the Maginot, and like we got to look at what caused the crash and everything around that, because obviously there was a lot of speculation. But yeah, I do feel like at this point it's just very clear that the idea of like Xenomorphs not being known, at least at the very least to the 2 corporations that we're dealing with, right? Like at the very least to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and to Cavalier. Well, Cavalier probably tangentially knew of it. He knew that there were some beasties coming in that he wanted to get his hands
Nick,
on.
everyone in the fucking galaxy knew about ovomorphs, xenomorphs, dingomorphs. It's like, what the fuck?
So at least those guys knew. But yeah, I mean, it has to have to do with like David's connection to the Weyland Corporation and the information that he was sending back to them on his experiments that were happening during the Prometheus and Alien Covenant times. So it is interesting to just like in that episode, just hear them say like, there's a Xenomorph loose aboard the ship. And nobody seemed to give a fuck either. They were just like, okay, well, like we'll deal with it.
Yeah, no, well, like, I mean, that's where Morrow's like, yeah, we can't shoot it. Use the electric gun, stun them. It's Nick. To me, it's as if this Maginot crew, their 65-year mission, they knew exactly what they were going to get. They knew the containment procedures they needed to kind of keep in place, and they knew that getting these things back was all that really mattered to Weyland-Yutani. It's just they knew everything. It's just like, I mean, I guess they didn't know you can't cut off face huggers because it's going to kill the person through the acid blood or just choking them out. But I mean, when what's her name, the backup captain Zari or something, when she's talking to Mother, she's like, "Oh, 2 ovomorphs hatched," and it's like, what the fuck? They know the scientific names for all this shit. And I guess it doesn't get me that mad. It's just like, man, come on, you couldn't like try to keep some of the canon intact, and because even now, Nick, I thought you had a great band-aid for this, where you're like, well, maybe the Maginot on its way back from the 65 years got a message from Mother saying, hey, you need to go check out this planet where David was at, and that's how they collected the shit. But to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, or you all in the live stream too, it sounds like Weyland-Yutani knew exactly what this mission was about. They knew exactly the type of cargo aka aliens they were after. They knew to get the eggs, to get the eyeball guy, to get this, to get that. They knew the eggs could hatch and plant embryos into a human, and that turns into something bigger. How? Like, if David just invented these and the galaxy didn't know about them, how? So that's kind of a bummer. But let's get into the full breakdown here, and I'm sure we'll bring up some more of these canon alterations or retcons, if you will. But go ahead. What did you think about this one? I mean, like you said, it was a bit of a pause in the present day timeline in Alien Earth. But if you're someone like me, and I think like Nick, if you like getting some backstory and some lore fleshed out after you were teased in those premiere episodes, I think this episode was kind of what I was looking for. So what do you think, Nick?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this episode. I definitely like that we got some more perspective on like what caused everything to go down. We got some more perspective on like how the containment breaches actually happened. And yeah, obviously there was one that was orchestrated. But there were also containment breaches that just happened in the natural course of like dealing with stuff that they don't know how to deal with.
The damn scientists, man. We called that, right? We were like, she had to have done something in that lab. And sure as shit, it was just straight laziness.
Yeah. Didn't put the top back on or whatever was supposed to be done, but also like not fully understanding the capabilities of the creatures that you're dealing with, like if you don't know that, like, well, one, it's very clear that these creatures are intelligent, highly intelligent. Even the bugs, like the bugs can look at what you're doing and then figure out how to open up the latch.
Yeah, it crawled up there, stuck its little bug arm out and slid that thing right open, no problem. And then it goes right to the water and takes a jizz in it.
Yeah, like it is intelligent. It knows how to reproduce, which like every creature by nature knows how to reproduce, but like also knows like a good reproduction source to put its babies in. So that was very interesting. And also like watching the eyeball, and this is intriguing, like watching the eyeball essentially trying to warn her, like,
see,
hey,
I think and Divided kind of, I wouldn't say spoiled, but Divided she is a devout listener of the official Alien Earth podcast. Okay. And like you, I felt the same way, but apparently that was not what the eyeball was actually distracting her so that thing could keep trying to get itself out.
Interesting. And it even made me think, like, because later in the episode, and jumping around a little bit, but like later in the episode, like when the eyeball is out and like everybody's already fucked up, like the eyeball goes for the Xenomorph. Like
when it's in Shmuel, it first attacks him when he's in one of the engineers' bodies. And did you hear it could talk to the Xeno almost. It could reproduce the Xeno like, and then then he starts fighting him. But then the Xeno makes quick work of that human body, and it shits out. And then it's trying to dig into his fucking head.
Yeah. So I wonder if that thing is just like looking for a suitable host, or if it actually had like a beef, like there's like a species beef with the Xenomorph in this thing. And well, it's like,
let's, because we got someone in the chat's kind of on this. So let's kind of stay on this concept for a second. First and foremost, it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, people, that the Maginot collected all these things from the same place, a moon. Is what Morrow said. And can we trust Morrow? Who knows? He's definitely he's got his own motivations here. But kind of like what Toy Visuals is saying here, do you think Eyeballpus told the bugs what to do? Possibly. I mean, it helped him get out by having that scientist distracted. She didn't lock in its containment container to the point where it slingshot itself into it and knocked it out. But what Nick was saying, as soon as the Xeno showed up and Morrow was kind of getting itself out of the way, it was like, fuck you, I'm going to fight you. I'm in this human body. I'm coming at you. I'm jumping on your back. I don't care about your acid blood. I'm going to spit your own chirps at you. And even when I'm not in this host body, I'm still going to try and jam into your head, which probably wouldn't have worked out well because it would have melted itself. But
Yeah, and I
it
don't
is,
know if
Nick. It's like,
Xenos have like eyes either.
yeah, I mean,
I
yeah,
guess they do.
they do, but it's not your typical
Yeah,
little fleshy orb that you're expecting to
yeah.
see. So yeah, it's weird. It's like, were these taken from a facility on a moon where tests were already being done? Do all these things live naturally? Are these more byproducts of David's experiment on Paradise, where he literally black gooed the entire planet? And if you remember those movies, organic stuff reacts differently to the black goo. So I don't know, but yeah, it clearly it seemed like the eyeball was promoting the chaos in the lab, but the eyeball was not a big fan of the Xenomorph.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is interesting to me to like see that like inter alien species dynamic already like playing out early on in the like in the transmissions and in the transporting of the specimens. So like I mean, obviously, I think that this show is very popular, and I think that there will be a second season of this show, and it will probably give them time to dive into the background of it a little bit more. Um, but I would be interested to even go further back, like, hey, like how, like, where did they come from? Like you said, did this come from David's experimentations that they had known about, and like, was he sending information to Wayland Yutani to say like, hey, like I've moved on from this planet, but like I've left specimens there for you guys to pick up and bring back, like, because
And
he's clearly like
it,
doing something like
that could make sense because, as I said last week, because I just went back and watched Covenant and Prometheus. At the end of Covenant, David has a very strong God complex, and he wants to inflict pain upon all of humanity. So if he was the one tipping off Wayland Yutani, it wasn't being done like, oh, yeah, hey, I did this for you. It was like, oh, I know your greed, your corporate greed is so strong that if I give you or leak this information about the ultimate bioweapon, you're going to send some people here to come get it, and you're going to essentially distribute my creation as I wanted through your own greed. I still don't think things line up that way, considering they were sent 65 years ago, which predates David even being created, I believe. But let's keep pretending for now, I guess.
Yeah, I
Hey
mean,
there,
it's
storyteller. Welcome.
very, very interesting timeline for sure. Very interesting timeline and like how things are coming together. But overall, just in terms of the episode, I thought it was really strong. It gave really good context into like what went down. There was good action. There was good, alien species horror moments and stuff like that. So overall, yeah, I was pretty pleased with this episode.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I know in our Discord, there's a few of us that kind of chat about the episodes as they're going on or when they're done. So don't forget, open link in this YouTube video description. But I think some of the ladies were like, it's just like it didn't make sense to have this episode right in the middle of the season because it kind of paused the momentum of Wendy and all that stuff happening in Neverland, and it felt like this should have been more. Hell, it should have been probably episode 2. I didn't quite mind the where they placed it because I'm such a junkie for answers, and I do think based on your and I's discussion after the premiere, we're like, well, wouldn't it have been nice if we actually got a little bit more info on what happened on the Maginot? I think that was one of the things I brought up. Is like we just got flashes of it, and it was very hard to figure out what the hell was going on. Obviously, that was done on purpose to add to the confusion that the crew was feeling, we were feeling as audience members. So I'm glad we had this kind of a break. I've also been informed again, thanks to Divided for putting in the time to listen to the official podcast. But Nick, apparently this episode was never initially planned. This was more or less to give the showrunner Noah Hawley his dream of creating his own mini Alien movie, which, if you think about it, that's exactly what episode 5 was. It was a miniature love letter to Ridley Scott's Alien, like to a T. To a T.
Mm-hmm. And I think that like knowing that was the goal of this episode, I think he did a fantastic job with it. Like I think that if that was his goal, was to essentially say like, hey, this is my version of what Ridley Scott did in 79, I think, when Alien came out, 79. then I think he did a good job. I think he did a fantastic job of, and we talked about this earlier, like in the premiere and stuff. Like he did a really good job on the Maginot of matching
Oh,
what we had seen
looks just like
on.
Nostromo. I mean,
Yeah,
the
like
mother room in particular is identical.
yeah, like just fantastic design work, fantastic casting. I think the entire cast did a like great job of like embodying that style of character that you saw back in '79. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I would be interested to see if there's collaboration between these two further. Like if Ridley Scott is ultimately like looking to potentially like hand the franchise off to somebody else, and if Noah Hawley is the one that would take it over. Um, but yeah, I mean, like you had that like that like full kind of in space, no one can hear you scream moments when it's like you
Literally the name
see
of the
everything.
episode. In
Yeah,
space,
like
no one, dot, dot, dot. So, again, that was a
and
little
he,
Easter egg
yeah,
playing off Alien's tagline or Alien tagline from back in the
yeah.
70s.
And it's just like it shows everything that the regular like the first movie showed, right? Like the hubris to think, like
Yeah.
the hubris of the crew to think that they have everything under
The
control, how
greed of the
things.
corporation,
Yeah,
the corporation willing to expend human life just to get this bioweapon. Like the
yeah,
blue
and
collar aesthetic of the crew, just how like plain Jane they are,
mhm,
regular people. Got to get my share.
yeah, dude, and like in that particular respect, like the two engineers, like the
Yeah,
like the essentially the repairmen for the ship were fantastic. I mean, like they were literally like he's talking to the kid and he's like, yeah, he's like, "Oh, are you gonna sign me up for another mission?" He's like, "It's 65 years, dude. Is this like what you wanted?" It's like this is not like some quick, easy thing to make money off of. This will take 65 years of your life. When I left, my wife or my whatever his fiance was like 30, and he's like, now she's the age of my grandmother.
yeah.
Like you lose all of your life. So like seeing like getting a little bit more information about like how taxing this trip is and what people sacrifice was pretty cool.
Well, let's kind of stick on that in particular with Morrow, who clearly is the second lead of this series.
Yeah.
Juxtaposed against Wendy. How do you feel about him now, Nick, knowing a bit more about his journey, that he was saved by this Yutani's grandmother? Essentially, he had,
Yeah.
cerebral palsy in his arm. That's why he's got the
Yep. He
cybernetics,
replaced it.
and why he is so loyal to Wayland Yutani. And I guess why he was handpicked to kind of go on this mission to be a security officer. But we know, he left a family behind. He left a daughter behind. The daughter died in the fire. That was confirmed as well. And he more or less was the conduit from the corporation. Like, it's up to you, security officer, to get this mission done, which means watching all your crewmates die and trying to stay alive yourself against the greatest killing machine in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Before we saw this episode, Morrow, he kind of was a bad guy. He was a dick. He's fucking with Wendy and the Lost Boys. He was willingly let the crew die. We didn't know all the backstory. We didn't know that they were fucked. We didn't know that the ship was sabotaged. So he kind of was, he's just being a good soldier. So what do you think about him now and his mission, his hard on to take out Boy Cavalier?
Yeah, I mean, the it definitely gives a lot of context to know that Cavalier essentially paid to have the ship. And again, like that opens up more questions
How
like
did
how
he
could he
know?
know? Blah blah
How did
blah.
he,
Like
I mean, I guess
and the,
corporate spies, I mean, that's what they do, but
yeah, but like who sent this corporate spy out if the ship has been out for 65 years, like you were saying, and Cavalier's at most what 28? Like
like how did he know to contact him? How did he get a message to that guy?
yeah,
Because you are correct, like
yeah.
that mission, the crew, whatever is that, the chief engineer, they would have left probably years before Boy was even alive.
Yeah,
So
like
he must have found
thought
out,
of.
figured out how he
Yeah,
could contact them without Wayland Yutani knowing, and there you go. I'm kind of glad they
yeah,
made that connection though, because it I think we've all kind of picked up that Boy he's pretty fucked up, like he's
yeah,
pretty aggressive and willing to do whatever it takes to be number one. But the fact that he is essentially the one responsible for that ship with deadly aliens crashing in his territory now. Like, that was all on purpose.
Yeah, he orchestrated it. So I mean, like, I guess you can cut it all up to just like corporate espionage, which they probably will. It's like they're hacking into Yutani systems. They see that they've had this mission out for a long time. They hack into their comm system, blah, blah, whatever. Like, he gets in touch with who he needs to get in touch with to get what he wants. But yeah, I mean, Morrow is definitely a little bit more like, you can forgive him for his callousness a little bit more, for sure, because obviously things were just shit. Like, there was no saving it at a certain point. It was like, there's nothing more that can be done other than like protect yourself. And I guess, like, you know, like, the ship is going down, so protect yourself and then get back to Yutani and let them know what happened, or let her know what happened, and then obviously go and try to take some revenge on Cavalier. In terms of like, do I think that he is like a super relatable character anymore? Like, not really, because it's just like there's still a level of callousness around the loss of life that feels inhuman, and like, naturally he kind of is, because he is a cyborg. But like, it is kind of fucked up to still see a guy who's like still supposed to be human essentially just being like, you know what, fuck all these people. Like, he could have saved the captain, like the other, like the woman's life. Like,
yeah, she was at Mother's room, like, but apparently that the crash pod only fits one, Nick, so he had to make a tough call.
Yeah, so yeah, tough call. But yeah, I mean, like, his actions are definitely more justifiable now, because it was essentially like everything was going to shit. She could no longer fulfill her duties as captain, and by the time he took over, everything was fucked. It was all fucked. Like, the Xeno was already out. All of the other creatures were already out. The engineer, young kid, had already been infested with the bugs. Like, the eyeball was out. Like, everything was fucked. There was no way that they could save the ship or like get the ship to its proper destination anymore. So like, his job was literally just damage control.
And
like,
and again, he is loyal to one lady. Her name's Yutani, and she happens to be on the masthead of that corporation. So I think he eventually made the choice, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my job done for the lady that saved my life. So
yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff happening here in the live stream chat. Remember, if you want to join, at least for the next couple weeks, 7:03 p. Eastern is close when you get youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. A lot of people commenting on Morrow and how, like us, Nick, they're kind of coming around on him, but you know, some are seeing it as, what was this one storyteller had? I like this. Morrow is relatable, but in my opinion, his arc shifts the story from survival horror to human-driven vengeance and morality. Yeah, I think 100% that's what this show is going for. I mean, that's kind of what the Alien franchise has been. It's always, you have the horror elements with the Alien, but it's always about human greed, corporate greed. You know, what are people willing to do for their corporations? Or will they buck them? So actually, I did Aliens this weekend, the 2003 director's cut. It's like 2.5 hours long, but still a damn good movie. Like, Alien and Aliens, man. I mean, yeah, Aliens has some visuals that look like they're from 1986. Anytime the ship flying, because they just used the model, man, and it's like, okay, there's some dude just holding this thing going like, wee. And then having like a screen with clouds fly by it. But it's a good movie. You just forget how damn good Sigourney Weaver. I mean, she still is, but was, because that was not a type of female character back then. Like, she really was doing something new, being a female lead, but a badass, and you know, telling the men what to do, telling the Marines what to do. Getting strapped up with her flamethrower, and then eventually getting into that mover suit. It just, what a woman. Plus, and it's going to sound crass, but that's who I am. You could tell it was still early 80s, because there's probably 2 or 3 times where her bush is literally hanging out of her panties. Not kidding. Like when she's in cryo sleep, what's his name? who did the Cameron? He's like, don't worry about it, Sigourney. We'll clean it up in post. They literally pan over her in cryosleep, and it's like you couldn't like tell her to maybe tuck that stuff in. You're gonna air that to the world. So, anyways, all right. What we got here in the chat? It feels like the only human response left is a cold universe. Yeah, hey, that's welcome to reality. So yeah, I mean, overall, really good episode. I love the backstory. We finally learned why the fire was started, who died, and how they died. So the captain and then Bronsky, they died initially by getting hit by face huggers. We now know for a fact that Bronsky was the one in the cryo tube that had the Xeno shoot out of him. Again, Yutani knew the procedure. They're like, hey, if you have an alien, freeze them and bring them home. It's like, how'd they know that? Was that just a guess? I mean,
yeah.
It kind of happens with Ripley, I think, going into Alien 3. But we got some of those insights. We got the Tang remains to be creepy as hell. Like, I don't think there's any more story to tell about Tang. But that was
Tang
one
is
disturbing android till the end. I mean, he technically got eaten up by the Xeno. But, Nick, even his interactions in this episode, it just seems like he's there to kind of be a peeping Tom on the one female, but then just a complete out in left field creep to everyone else. So I don't really know why he was portrayed that way or if there's anything more to it. But he had to be one of the, if not the strangest android I think we've met in the Alien franchise so far. Like, he just seems like he doesn't, there's something off with that dude.
Yeah, he's super strange. I'm not really sure. And like you said, like, I'm not really sure what his directive was, right? Like, they never really talked about like why he was acting the way that he was acting
just
or what his directive was.
Staring at females as they slept was kind of his job.
Yeah. Just I guess that's his zone, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting because I remember, like, we had a lot of speculation around Tang initially, and it was like, was he? We initially thought like, well, was he the one that did this? That set these events in motion because of how he was portrayed early, but like literally, he was just like a fucking weird ass android. Like,
you could, Nick, you could argue his inaction was ultimately helped contribute to the sabotage, because he knew that someone was getting out of the cryopod, and he probably knew the exact person because he stands in the cryo chamber all fucking day until people wake up and say, yo, dude, quit being a creep, get out of there. So yeah, that he ends up not being anything. We talked about the crawlers taking a dump and shooting tadpoles out into the water. Like you, Nick, I wrote down the eye tried to warn, but no, the eye was actually keeping her unfocused on the jar so the other things could kind of get out. Talked about the saboteur and Boy being the one that paid for it. But yeah, it's like I just had questions like, how does everyone know about the aliens? I mean, they knew everything, Nick. They knew where to get them. They knew how they function. They knew that they're essentially unstoppable. You know what I mean? They knew all this. The crew knew all this before they even started hatching and shit. So I don't know if we're ever going to get those answers. I hope we do. But I do see that kind of that plot thread being something that Noah's probably just like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a movie about aliens in space, so who cares?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they choose to like re-explore any of those things, or like if they have more time and they can go further back. Like, ultimately, eventually, if they keep trying to explore like further past where they have already gone, you're just gonna run into Covenant, and like you're gonna run into the Ridley Scott prequel era. So I wonder if that's the plan, is to eventually bring it to where like this series will connect to, Covenant and Prometheus, and like give a more clear view of like how we go from no Xenos and like proto Xenomorphs, whatever you want to call them, that
Protomorphs,
show
you're
up at the
right.
end.
You're right. They were protomorphs.
So like, what that and Prometheus to what like the refinement era in Covenant, and then into like does Alien Earth just like bridge that gap and be like, well, this is how we got here. Like, this is ultimately how we got from Prometheus to Alien 1, because it seems like it's in a good position to be able to do that.
Well, it should, but so far it's skipping everything because those movies take place years before this film. I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully there is some of that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, it was David, or they got a rogue signal from David, or they heard from the Covenant colony ship that actually, sent out a distress signal, because that's where things have been left in the David trilogy. That's probably never going to be. I mean, David has commandeered a colony ship that has 2,000 hosts for his creation. And he locked down the female lead and essentially called her my queen. So is he the one that is it David's reason that LV-426 is the planet loaded with fucking eggs and has the queen on it by aliens? I would be okay with that. I mean, it still probably doesn't line up the right way, but I don't know. I mean, who knows if this show infuses it? Noah's gone out of his way to say, yeah, I'm not worried about the prequels. That could just be a smokescreen. So who knows? We got Black Plant Organ here. The flashback backstory is better than the whole Prodigy plot. Well, yeah, I mean, I think now that the Prodigy plot has been even more informed through this backstory, because now we know Boy has had his hands in this from day one. This was not a happy accident. He always planned on this ship crashing in his kingdom, as he calls it. So I think that's going to make the present timeline even more interesting. Did anyone else know that he was doing this? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's been kind of playing the game of like, oh, wow, lucky me. This showed up in my backyard. I'm going to go try and claim it. Well, now we know it was all by design. All right, a few other talking points here, and we'll get into our crossover segment of what would happen if we had a Xeno outbreak on the Death Star, Nick. So we'll see what we've got to say about that. Tang dies by Xeno, but we saw in episode 2 or 3, the Xeno right next to Moro. After Moro zapped him and put him in that egg sack, just sniffs him and moves on. So is Moro that good at hiding fear? How does Tang, an android, have fear? Why does the android get attacked willingly? But it seems like this Xeno now has kind of let Moro off the hook once they landed in Prodigy Land.
Yeah, it is interesting, and like, I don't know if it has to do with like a dominance factor, right? Like they view Moro more respectfully now that he has been able to like
take him down.
Take him down. Like, even though obviously he didn't kill him, but like they also know, one, he's not fully human. Two, he is strong enough with whatever means he had to be able to subdue them. And then three, is obviously very good at controlling his fear to a certain degree. Whereas like for Tang, I mean, like you said, like, how does an android show fear? It didn't even seem like Tang was scared until the moment like he looks up and screams, and then boom, it's over. Like he seemed to be pretty controlled. Yeah, it doesn't like I'm not putting too much stock in like the previous interactions that we've seen with Xenos versus like.
Well, I mean, it wanted to kill him before the ship crashed, right? I mean, it was sitting there pounding on the crash pod,
the door. Yeah, the door. So like, I'm not really sure what logic there is behind it, right? And it's kind of hard to like ascribe logic to a Xeno, because as far as we've seen thus far, it's just been like kind of a killing machine, and also kind of random, like the way that it regarded, I don't remember, Zevri, like the captain, like the captain who took over the girl, like her, like it literally kind of just stood there and fucked around with her,
yeah,
right?
And then,
like
then it chased her and eventually beat the shit out of her. But yeah, that was, you're right, that was kind of a weird interaction. So I mean, listen, the Xenomorphs aren't just brainless killing machines; they are the perfect organism when it comes to killing shit and surviving. But they do kind of have this hive mentality, especially the soldiers like the one we saw. And you just need to go back and watch Aliens. I mean, they exist to serve the queen and to keep those eggs a coming. That's why they cocoon bodies. They bring them back because they're just going to be hosts for the eggs, and it's one big symbiotic circle. So, all right, I really dug this. We got to see pretty much everything we need to know about the Maginot and how people died. You gotta love the docs dying by poisonous gas from trying to remove those little tick bugs from Malachite's guts. It's like that crash was way more complex than any of us knew after the premiere. Like, we had no idea it was sabotage based. We had no idea that there was more than just a Xeno kind of running around screwing shit up. And let's not sleep on the eyeball. The eyeball's gotten so much screen time at this point in time and has had major moments that I have a feeling this eyeball is either going to end up being like a random hero character or something even bigger than we all realize. The eyeball really seems to be a very important entity to Alien Earth.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, this thing seemed like it wanted to really fuck up this Xeno. So I wonder if, like, obviously we have to get to a point where, like, this Xenomorph is taken care of. Either it is subdued, killed, or whatever. And, like, our immediate thought is, like, well, they have to nuke it. Like, they're going to just nuke the whole Prodigy area.
We've got
and
one
that'll take it
Xeno
out.
in Neverland, because remember, that's the one that hatched and
Yeah.
Wendy started coo-cooing it and petting it. So there is a Xeno on the table again after she ripped one's head off.
Yeah, so I wonder if, like, this eyeball is going to get re-involved somehow. Like, where
I'm telling you, man, I really think the eyeball is going to do something pretty big. I don't know if it's good. It's probably not, but it's going to be a major player in this series, at least season 1. Black Plant Org asking, did they say it can survive in space? Yes, we actually know this. This is a thing. And that's why I recommend everyone watch Alien Requiem, because Requiem is a very good movie, but it now covers some of the time in between the 57 years that take place between Alien and Aliens. And it shows that the one Ripley shoots out of the Nostromo's escape pod makes it into Weyland-Yutani's hands, and they do some tests on it on the space station, and that's where Romulus comes into play. So yeah, I mean, the Xenomorphs, they're perfection. They really have zero downside outside of a hybrid named Wendy, who has shown that she can kill one with her bare hands.
And predators who literally hunt them for sport.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Now we're talking about, like, that is an organized society around killing and hunting. I'm not. The Xenos aren't that. They are, like I said, more of a hive mind. They truly are kind of like a bug. So you got me there, Nick. That is for sure. But hey, listen. I mean, there's a few predators that don't make it out of those temple trials either. So
no, you're absolutely right. Know. You're absolutely right.
All right, what else? I think I hit everything. The Easter eggs we got: in space, no one. I mean, that's the tagline from the first movie. Maginot looking just like the Nostromo. The blue collar vibes of the crew we got. Yeah, clearly the concept of acid blood, face huggers to chest bursters, corporate betrayal, a big theme in the Alien franchise. Yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some theories that the fans had out there, but I really don't think they're worth getting into outside of the
exploring.
Just how did Weyland-Yutani know so much pre-Nostromo about the Xenos? I think that's probably the thing I'm the most hung up on. Because if they say that it's just something, if it's just something they stumbled upon, then we know for sure prequels are retconned at this point in time. Okay. Well, Nick, like I said, we're always going to have some crossovers here on the Star Wars Time Show. That is our name after all. So while we are covering Alien Earth, we do a crossover, a little 5 to 10 minute discussion here. And this week, Nick, we kind of put out there, we're going to debate, would the Death Star crew survive a Xeno outbreak? So we're talking about Xenos getting loose on the Death Star, which is literally a moon-sized space station. So lots of territory to cover, lots of bodies to attack, but also lots of bodies to combat a Xeno outbreak. So, off the top of your head, first thought, what goes down if we have a Xeno outbreak on the Death Star? Are stormtroopers able to take it on? Can their armor deflect that acid blood? Is there sheer numbers enough to overwhelm the Xenos?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question, right? And I think what it comes down to is Vader or Palp on the Death Star, because if they are, I think they handle it. I think that like they lose a lot of uh stormtroopers in the mix, but they handle it up, right? Like they can do it. If Vader or Palp are not on the Death Star, it may be over. They like you could lose to two Xenos. I feel like the whole Death Star could lose to two Xenos because
You're saying the stormtroopers
one,
couldn't even just form a battalion, like a wall, and just be like,
I just don't think
and
that they
mow it
got it in
down?
them. I don't think that they got it in them. And the reason that I think that is because one, obviously, let's just say that lasers work against it, right? Like that their standard blasters can penetrate its hide
Well,
or
we know bullets
its
can, because
exoskeleton.
I just watched
Yeah.
Aliens, and they set up those auto turrets, and it fucking chews through Xenos. Chews through 'em.
So let's say that they can handle it with their weapons alone. They don't need anything special. What I'll say then is that like I don't know. Here's what I'll put out there. Here's what I'll put out there. The reason that has always been fed to us, like once we figured out like the stormtroopers can't hit anybody that is like a protagonist, right? They can't hit fucking Luke, Han, or Leia, except for that one time that Leia gets like skinned in the arm. And it was basically like the psychology that they shoved at us was that like it's harder to take somebody out when you can see when there's a face to them, and that like you put like a human face behind it. These things have no face. They're antagonists. They're mindless killing machines. So you know what? I'm going to switch my stance, because initially I was going to say no, it doesn't work. But I think that with a concerted effort behind it, I think that they can kill it. If it comes down to it, they can take it out.
Yeah,
So
Story kind of
yeah,
came in there and said, yes, they would. We got flame troopers, which we know Xenos do not like fire. I mean, that was Ripley's best friend, and they also used that in the first movie. So it does seem that fire is kind of their biggest weakness. They would have had dark troopers, maybe some death troopers on there. Tarkin, I don't know if he could actually kill Vader like Story is saying. I think that would be a tall ask. But Tarkin is he's a strategic genius when it comes to battle. So I think if they were dealing with a reasonable number of xenomorphs, they had the numbers to overwhelm. The problem would be then if where they're shooting and where that acid blood ends up, and if it punctured a hole in the Death Star and essentially sucked it from the inside out. I think that would be their biggest issue would be the blood and how many levels it was able to melt through before someone was able to stop it. It'd be neat to see. I mean, there's going to be a lot of Imperials dying. This isn't like shooting fish in a barrel. But I think when it comes down to it, sheer numbers, and if you can get these things in a hallway, we've seen, at least in Aliens, they will test your defenses and willingly spend bodies to do so. I mean, it's almost like a brute force attack where they're just like, all right, we can't go this way. Let's go down another tunnel. So, they'll figure some things out, but I think just the amount of bodies at the Empire's disposal in terms of their assets, I think they could do it.
Yeah, I think they could take him out. I wanted to play on the stormtroopers suck at everything angle too hard and just say like, they wouldn't do anything. They'd all get fucking taken out. But
I could see him running away for sure and be like, no, I don't get paid enough for this.
Definitely,
type of shit.
that's happening. Like, you're not coming out unscathed. You're losing at least 10 to 20 stormtroopers.
Oh, easy. Easy.
Like, easily you're losing a lot
Here's
of people,
how
I think eventually.
Like any outbreak always starts small. Like I think the Xenos initially start taking some wins. They're popping up, they're taking people out. Very much like Aliens. I mean, Aliens, they take out like 100 colonists. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
But then when the Marines show up and they start to figure out some strategies and they start closing off some tunnels and they're forcing aliens into choke points, they eventually they can get some wins. I mean, I know most everyone dies in Aliens, but 3 of them do make it out, and half an android make it out. So, and that was with limited ammunition, limited bodies. So in the end, Xenos take the early lead, but just the sheer numbers and the Empire's ability to strategize, I think it gives them the ultimate win, and they quell the outbreak on the Death Star.
Agree. And if Vader's there, it's over earlier. If Vader or Palpatine are there, it's just done.
Oh yeah,
it's just done.
No, I still contend Force user, they could either control or just implode if they wanted to. Just open an airlock, strap yourself in, and start force pushing motherfuckers out into space, and let the rebels deal with them, because they're not going to die in space either. They're just going to float around in kind of like a stasis.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, yeah, storyteller, we got no orbital bombardments. This is all taking place on the Death Star. So, Thrawn wouldn't be there. I'll give you Tarkin at best would be there. But in the end, I do think the Empire wins. The Empire wins this. Thrawn would be cheating. Like actually, I think Thrawn, yes, he would win, Nick, but wouldn't Thrawn, very much like some of the androids in Alien, wouldn't he almost be enamored with the Xenomorph?
That's what I was kind of wondering too, is like he would probably he wouldn't try to kill them. He would be like, I am going to try to study them. Yes, I'm going to try to figure out how to use them, kind of like he would almost have like the same fascination as David did. So
all right. I think
so.
he would respect them almost too much, because he's into perfection. Like it would even kind of fuck him up a bit, like his love or his appreciation for their skill set. Who knows? Maybe another day. But Story did have another good crossover with Xenos versus the Yuuzhan Vong, so maybe we'll flesh that one out.
I think the Yuuzhan fucking clean them up, if I'm being honest. Like I think that one is a much more definitive victory than
there we
against
go.
Stormtroopers.
Crossover segment solved. Nick took care of that one. All right, well, good stuff there. That takes care of our Alien Earth Episode 5 breakdown and the crossover segment. So we're going to close out this new time-slotted show with the fan segment. 2 ways to get involved. We got the question of the week. Just make sure you're following us on our social networks. We're on the usual ones. Star Wars Time Show. You'll find it. And then we got the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features, where we solicit you all to tag us, hashtag Star Wars Time Show, and add tag at Star Wars Time .show on Instagram for Nick to pick his 5 favorite. But first, let's go ahead and see how the fans answered this week's question, which tackles the same debate we just brought up here on the show. Could Stormtroopers contain a Xenomorph outbreak on the Death Star? So I guess I made theirs a little more particular, Nick, in saying Stormtroopers only. So we'll see where the fans went, but go ahead.
All right. So Divided Skywalker says, good question. If Blaster could stun the Xeno without spilling acid blood, they may actually be pretty effective at containing them. That is, if they can actually hit them. That's a good thing, because we've only ever seen them use stun once in Star Wars, right? Like they stunned Leia at the beginning of A New Hope, and then I don't think that we ever see anybody get stunned again. Or if so, it was like, I think we saw
in the
stuns.
cartoons,
that's
like in Clone Wars or Bad Batch, there's a lot of stunning going on.
Exactly, like especially Clone Wars season 7, where there's like the fight happening on with the 332nd. They're like stunning everybody, but I didn't think about that. If the stun works, then it's all good. But then what do? I mean, I guess you stun them and then space them, and you don't have to worry about them. But like,
it's a hard carcass to dispose of, because as soon as you pierce its damn near armor hide, you're getting squirted with acid. So
yeah, you're just acid everywhere.
But
so
I would say they could probably be stunned, because we've seen Morrow do it with that electric gun. So I think Divided's on to something. Her plan would even be better than ours, because ours, more or less, you'd probably lose an entire wing or side of the Death Star because there'd be so many acid holes sprayed in the floor and the walls.
Yeah, that's right. You're busting fucking acid holes through like like foundational walls and shit like that. Shit's falling apart, and then eventually the acid cuts through into one of the like the exterior walls, and then
you'd see the Death Star smoking in space. There'd be so much acid blood blowing out of it, but hey, they still win because we said so. All right, next line of responses here.
Next up, we got Mac122198, Michael Kramer. He says, "Oh God, no, they would die in 5 minutes." I mean, I can see the rationale behind it, dude. There's no belief. League of Extraordinary Sixers just hits us with the "Did we hit him yet?" gif of the Stormtroopers just missing wildly while shooting at Han, Luke, and Leia on the Death Star in A&H. So solid stuff there. Jacob Jen says no, straight up, just no.
Short and to the point.
Straight to the point. Mr. Jedi says, they would defeat the Xenomorph because the aliens would stand there thinking, my God, we never had such a prey. So really stupid the aliens wouldn't function, and in the end would run away.
I like that. Like the aliens would be
confused into death.
They would be so dumbfounded with how slow and incompetent stormtroopers were that's how they would lose. I like it. It'd be like,
yeah, exactly.
Fine, kill us. You guys are dumb as shit. You're too easy.
Like, God, we can't fucking stand this. Clone War 501st says not a hope. So no faith from Clone War 501st.
Nope.
League comes back and says, if stormtroopers can hit the target, sure, but we all know they never hit the target. Flamethrower would work just fine. Like Ripley's another option are the First Order troopers with the Z6 ride control baton. We recently found out that electricity disables the Xenomorph pretty damn good. So there we go. Like we had mentioned, the flame troopers would definitely work. And then obviously picking out the stun batons. I mean, Magna Guard could hold up, dude. Yeah. Magna Guard could actually do pretty well.
I mean, screw it. Let's throw some B1s and B2s after him. Why not?
I know,
expendable. Roger.
Easy. Veer Melior 1
this is the best
says, by the wise words of Kiadi Mundi, send in the flamethrowers.
I don't know when Kiadi said that, but it sounds like something he would say, so I dig it.
There we go. So the flamethrower, that's what everybody thinks.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
He send in the flamethrowers. That was the line, right? We just forgot that line.
Yeah, sure,
but I think everybody who has done a good job of recognizing that fire is the way to do it. That like if you're gonna fight against these guys, and obviously if you're gonna continuously miss with your blasters, just strap up everybody with some fire, and that will do the trick. So,
easy peasy, no problem.
Good stuff. So thank you everybody for participating in the question of the week. You can find that on our Instagram and our YouTube community and in our Discord, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Hit that subscribe button. $1.99 per month is all it costs you to be a sub. And then you get to see the question of the week pop up there. Discord, there is a live link in our Instagram bio. So hit that up as well. And then Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. And that's what we're moving into now. We're moving into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved, follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram and tag at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Star Wars Instagram posts. That's how you fall into the tag feed, and that's where I pull the top 5 from. So,
boom.
To kick off this week, we have Galaxy Outpost, Galaxy _
First timer,
Outpost.
right?
First time top 5er. It's crazy that I can remember the first timer still after doing this for so many years, but this is a first timer. Boom, Galaxy Outpost. And they're giving us an awesome showdown shot. Almost, I don't think it's quite a scene recreation, but it's really close to what we've seen in Ahsoka season 1, the showdown between Baylan and Ahsoka herself. Baylan with that awesome like fire red lightsaber drawn and ready. Ahsoka with her whites ready to go. This almost looks like an Old West showdown, the way that it's set up by Galaxy
this might be a recreation the more I think about it from the end of Ahsoka. Did you see, if you slide though, Nick, it's got the AI animated version?
Oh, I did not watch. Dang.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty sick.
No,
And he just
this
like a nice
Galaxy
little cape
Outpost,
wave.
they've been doing this. So they'll shoot the still shot. Then I think they use Knock Knock, which is an app to animate toy photography, believe it or not. Or maybe just
Dang.
animate toys in general. But I know a lot of people are, get up in arms about AI, especially when it comes to art. But I think it's pretty freaking cool what it does to these toy shots.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using it to like give a little motion to a piece of art that you've created, I think that's pretty cool.
That's
And
acceptable.
that I mean,
okay.
I think that's pretty. I think it looks pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, he does
But
it on
yeah.
all of them, and it works so well. I wonder what the prompts are, because you would have to prompt
Yeah.
the camera movement, and then I guess should there be wind to blow their clothes. Either way, good looking stuff here from Galaxy Outpost. I've been a fan of them since they started tagging us, so it's good to see young Nick giving them their due. All right, who's next?
There
Oh
we go.
Jesus!
Next,
Look at this fucking thing.
I gotta stay with the theme, guys. I gotta stay with the
This
theme.
this is a wall hanger, as we like to say around the
This
SWTS.
is some indeed. This is some sick stuff. This is from 97 underscore
Jesus.
parsecs underscore photography, one of our favorites over here at the Star Wars Time Show. And we're staying on theme. Star Wars mixed with aliens. So what do we see? We see Darth Maul in one of the Night Sister temples, outside of one of the Night Sister temples, putting his lightsaber together with the Force. You can see the crystals hanging in the air as he assembles it with the Force in deep meditation, not even intimidated by the alien creatures that are swarming
There's
him
like some
from
big
all
ass
directions.
spiders or something, right?
Yeah, like it looks like spiders. It looks like face huggers maybe crawling up towards him too. There's a bunch of different stuff that's after him, but Maul is as cool as the other side of the pillow, and he's going to chop all these things down with ease, I assure you. And then, as always, with Rob shots, 97 parsec shots, you can scroll through and see the BTS, and he even gives you a breakdown of the shot on the very, very last frame. Kyber crystals added, vibrancy increase, motion blur added to the spiders, eye brightness level increased. Man, awesome stuff here from
and apparently Maul does have 4 kyber crystals in his saber, so that
makes sense.
That is not
dual,
creative license. 97 saying they did read up on that, so it is vetted.
Look at that. Look at that. Accurate
it's such
to
a
a
good,
T.
I mean, when I saw this week, I'm like, man, it's good to see 97 back. And holy shit, I hope Nick picks this, because this is as good as it gets. I mean, I really find this to be top tier toy photography. So 97 underscore parsecs underscore photography, Instagram. Next.
That's right. Next up, we have
more Maul.
Sentimental Scoundrel. A little bit more Maul, and guess what? It's Maul's final moments. The recreation in 3 shots. So if you scroll through, it's a 3-shot set here of the final showdown between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Maul in the Tatooine desert as he is searching for Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan is watching over him. Just absolutely awesome series of shots here from Sentimental Scoundrel that basically relives Maul's final moments in that quick fight between him and Obi-Wan on Tatooine. Love the use of the background to get that nice starry sky there. Good setup with the sand. It literally looks just like when Maul walks up to Obi in the middle of the Tatooine desert, and like the fight happens, and ultimately Obi gets him. He was going for the same move as he did to Qui-Gon in TPM. Obi was ready and struck him down in short order.
That's right. Anger doesn't pay, people. If you spend your entire life being pissed at a single person, it's probably not going to end well for you.
It will not end well. That
Just
is
ask
true.
our boy Maul. All right, yeah, good looking shot here. Great series, awesome looking custom 3.75 inch figures from Sentimental underscore Scoundrel on Instagram.
That's right. Next up, one of the OGs.
Look at this.
Here he is, back. Grogu snaps. And look at his only tags on this at Star Wars Time
What a
Show
guy, man.
Star Wars Time.
What a
Show.
guy.
But I gotta say, man, like Greg, I don't know if Greg's been practicing more in his off time, but this is some solid fucking work here, man. We got 2 scout troopers looking up at a I would say that this is like an experimental or like a different version of a Chicken Walker AT.
I forget the name, and I believe we might have tier ranked this when we did the vehicle tier list. It's on the channel if you want to check it out, people. But yeah, it's a thing. It showed up in Rebels. I don't know the name. It's got to be AT something.
Yeah, it's the AT something.
How's that for Star Wars knowledge? Yeah, Star Wars time. There's always time for it.
There we go.
That's one of those AT things.
Hey, there's probably 20 different versions of the ATS something, ATC something, all of them out there. But I mean, good depth of field work here from Greg. I mean, the spot that he chose for this shot looks awesome. He's got this little dugout trench that he's got his figures in standing, and good perspective to show the big difference in height between the figure or between the scouts and the AT. You got some foliage there in the background, good use of atmosphere. I mean, this is a pretty killer shot from Greg. It's nice to see him back.
Yeah, good work, Greggy boy. Grogu_snaps on Instagram. Check him out.
That's right. And to close out this week's top 5, we have GT_arts_fet. And we just got a good look at our Mandalorian crew, right? People of our Mandalorian crew. So we got Din and Din Grogu standing left of frame. And then on the right, you got Ahsoka the White in her whites holding her lightsabers ready to fight. And it's just a nice little trio shot here, even though it's super easy
Divided.
to miss Grogu.
Sorry, Nick. We just had Divided give us a little super chat, so I didn't mean to cut you off. But you know us. We get paid. We'll stop the show in the tracks to thank that person. Greg, you just missed it, Greg. We just talked about your shot, big dog.
Yeah, man. Rewind 35 seconds. We were just talking about you. But yes, thank you, Divided. Thank you for the good vibes, for the new job, the
11-11.
new school year.
I like it.
Matt.
I like it.
There we go.
There's some good juju behind that. I can feel it.
That's right. That's right. Love it. Thank you so much, Divided. But yeah, GT Arts Fet giving us an awesome, just 3-shot here of Grogu, Din, and Ahsoka all looking solid on this shot.
Yeah. I like what GT does, and I need to get more in the mindset of GT when it comes to taking pictures of my toys, because I currently have 15 of these Barbies sitting right next to me. Just unboxed a bunch over the weekend, and if I could just line them up and take shots against a standard background like this and just use some lighting, it would make my life a lot easier. But I feel the need to I got to use a background and spray some smoke in there. It's like, fuck that. You can do nice things. Just if you know how to light stuff, I think everything else is secondary. So, but there you go. GT_arts_fet to close out this week's top 5. Looking good there.
That
nice selections. Greg, hope you're having a good lunch. There's your shot one more time, buddy. Way to go. You're doing some work these days. All right, Nick.
Well done. Well, that is it. That is the end of the top 5. And that is the end of our show for this week. So, Matt, go ahead and close it on out.
That's right, people. We'd love for you to give us a sub here. If you're just tuning in, or if you made it to the end, you're new. Like Nick said, you can sub for free. But if you want to join the channel, you can do so for as low as $1.99. Get yourself some little perks like Divided Skywalker. She's got the Vader Cat. I think the full-grown Vader Cat at this point in time. Plus, you get access to custom emojis. And who knows, as the show kind of morphs itself into whatever it's going to turn into by the end of this year, maybe we'll start gating some content for a little bit for channel members before it goes public. Who knows? We still have some things to talk about. But as I said, to kick this show off, this little show is changing. We just don't know how and what it's going to look like, but there are changes coming. So be prepared. Something will happen. It will be as unglorious as most of our other shows and announcements. So don't hold your breath. Yeah, there you go. Divided dropping all the custom emojis for everyone to see. Look at that. That's well worth $2 a month. So let's go, people. Good. All right, my friends, it's always fun to sit here and talk to young Nick and you all on the live stream. So come back next week. We'll be doing the same thing, 7:30 or as close as we can get on Wednesdays. We'll have a Star Wars crossover segment to kind of tie into our Alien Earth breakdown. And who knows, maybe Lucasfilm will give us some more news in between the week to talk about. But as we say around here, there truly is time for Star Wars all the time. Okay? Oh, look at that. Grogu saying 6 years ago, episode 1 dropped. What, of our live stream? That seems... I didn't think we started live stream until 2020. I don't know what Greg's
I can't remember now, honestly. I can't remember. I mean, it could be. I mean, Greg was around. Greg was definitely around, so.
Yeah. All right, everyone. It's been real. Thanks
for
for showing up there, Bango. Glad you made it back from Euro. All right, Divided. You were great in there from start to finish. Greg, good to see you. I know Kramer was in there a little bit, Storyteller, and some of the other noobs. We always appreciate you people, and that's why we're probably still going to figure out some way, somehow, to deliver this show to you, maybe even just once a month, because we do love you all, and you guys and gals and whoever kind of make this stuff worth it. All right, people, there's always time for Star Wars Time. If you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.